While Larry's doing that, I obviously just started the recording, which means that nobody gets to hear our introduction, but that's okay. Just as a reminder, if you do have to drop off or you've got folks from your team that weren't able to make the call, we do put this out on YouTube, and I'll send a link out to all the agents a little bit later this afternoon. Let me see. I am not seeing your screen
Okay.
yet, so try that again.
Let me try. Here we go. Share. Okay. Now we should be.
Now we're good.
Okay. So we are known by Dejavoo Systems, but our company name is actually iPod Systems, which is what I have on my shirt today. So I'm going to kind of explain a little bit about that as we go along. So the history of iPod Systems was, if you've been in the industry a long time, you know Narit, and Narit 2085s, where my company owner, Moni Zano, started that company back in 93. And over a 10-year period, sold over 1,200,000 of those terminals, and then was bought out and basically started iPod Systems, or Dejavoo. So there's a lot of different facets to the Dejavoo. Most of y'all are probably familiar with our Z line. We've had that for close to 10 years. The last 3 years, we've started with an Android, and the QD line is the first Android that we introduced, and it uses the same software as the Z line. So it has an Aura software. So if somebody uses a Z terminal, the learning curve is non-existent on doing a QD because it's the same software. Now, about 2 years ago, we started with our omni-channel solution, which is a cloud-based terminal. Also has e-invoicing, virtual terminal, hosted payment page, QuickBooks integration, level 2, level 3 autofill, all kinds of different features. And I'm going to get into that as we go along as well. So that's kind of the history of where we come from. So iPod System being the main company, all of our other companies are underneath it. We call it under our umbrella. That's why we've got you covered. Dejavoo being all of our terminals. So we are Dejavoo terminals. That's what we're known for in the industry. Everybody knows Dejavoo. Denovo is our back office reporting that is for our Z and our QD line. Also, there's a lot of bells and whistles with the Denovo where they can, have text receipts. They can do their reporting. They can get all of the things that they need to run their business with the Denovo. Spin is our semi-integration. So we work with a ton of POS systems already, and any POS that's not proprietary out there that wants to integrate with us, it's a very simple integration. So nice thing about the integration to Dejavoo is once they do the one integration, any of our terminals will work with them. So the Z, the QD, or the P line, one integration covers all our lines. So makes it very simple. The iPOS Pay is our omni-channel that I'm going to talk a little bit about today, with the cloud-based solution and all the bells and whistles that comes with that. So that's kind of how our product line lines up. We have a bunch of different pricing models. I'll go over that as we go along too. So our Z line, which I'm sure some of y'all are familiar with, this is the 6 is our pin pad. The 8, all of these are going to be dual com, meaning Ethernet and Wi-Fi, or no dial-up. So we just have gotten rid of dial-up. There's some still out in the market at distributors, but we really don't carry any in-house at all. The Z9 and the Z11 would be, your top of the line on the Zs. So very good system. We still sell tons of these. We're just kind of moving into the Android space, and that's where the QD line comes along. So the QD line is a touchscreen, very nice software that you're familiar with. The manufacturer has, we have no problem getting inventory. So the great terminals. I'll kind of walk you through how each one of them is. So this first one is the QD1, and it is what we call our rugged wireless. The reason it's called that is it kind of has a hard outer shell like an OtterBox already built in on the terminal. So this is really good if you've got, people that are rough on their terminals, maybe food trucks or construction people or truck drivers, whatever, anybody that needs something that maybe if it drops, it's not going to break first time, that type thing. Wi-Fi SIM card, so they can carry it around. The battery is really nice on these; they last all day. The QD2 is our other Wi-Fi and SIM card, and this is the one that I use all the time for my demos. It's super easy to work with and very nice terminal. Uh, of course, you can use any SIM card, and you don't have to use our SIM card, so y'all can do whatever you want. The QD3, we actually have two different QD3s. This is the actual terminal, which is Wi-Fi and SIM card as well. The only difference in this one, there's no printer. So this one actually has to have Dejavoo enabled because you have to be able to text or email receipts, and that back office is required on this. There's also a QD3 pin pad, which I don't have pictured here, but it can be paired with the next one that I'm going to show you, the QD4. So the QD4 is our countertop. It's Ethernet and Wi-Fi, and it's also needs to be powered on at all times. So this one can be connected to the 3 as a pin pad, or the QD5 is also a pin pad. The 4 and 5 look identical. The 5 does not have any paper in it. It doesn't print, and it's only a pin pad, and it can be connected to the 4. So you've got the 4 as your desktop, the 5 or the 3 as your pin pads. All right, now I'm going to get into our gateway solution. So it's omni-channel. It'll work with TSYS, First Data. We're actually WorldPay as certifying this week, so we should have WorldPay Vanif ready by the end of this week. We're also working with Elevon. Elevon should be available in the next quarter. So we're getting this certified to a lot of different processors, but TSYS First Data right now. And it's got all the bells and whistles, everything you can imagine on there. And I'm going to actually show you one of these terminals here in just a second. So on the P terminals, I'm going to kind of go into those. So we have a countertop, which is the P1. This one is Ethernet and Wi-Fi, and it needs to be powered on. So it's got all of these have the same software. We also have a tap on phone, which is no software at all, and I have one of those I'm going to show you as well today. The P3 is actually what I'm going to be working with today. So I've got my P3 right here, and I'll show you all that here in just a second. It's Wi-Fi and SIM card, and very nice terminal. Touch screen, but it also has the keypad. A lot of people really like to have that keypad, and it's just a very easy terminal to work with. Y'all would really like this one. Any of these Ps can be a pin pad or the other one. So let's say that you have a P1 and you want it to be the master and you want another P1 to be a pin pad, you can do that. Since these are all cloud-based, they just connect by Bluetooth and you're able to do that. So any P can be a pin pad for the other. The P5, I also have one of those here with me today. The P5 is a little bit smaller. It's got the barcode scanner, and it also is Wi-Fi and SIM card, no printer on it as well. All right. And then the mobile tap on phone, this will work on any Apple or any Android. All they need to make sure is that they have near field communication, which all the smartphones do nowadays. And it's as simple as you just tap the card to the back of their cell phone, and it's got the same software as any of our P terminals. So it can do compliant surcharging, dual pricing. It can do send payment links. So it does everything, and they don't have to have any equipment. So, and it right now is TSYS only. First Data is coming. They're a little bit harder to get through the certification process, but it's available on Apple and Android on all TSYS. So that's pretty much everything on there that I wanted to show you. Now I kind of want to just run through the terminals a little bit more. So I've got, and any of this information, you know, I can get to Justin and he can get out to y'all. So all of these say Tricom because this was a little older literature, but they're all dual com. So the Z8 and then our Z11. Let me move on to the next here. Here we go. All right. So on the QD, again, I've already walked through these with y'all. QD1 being the rugged or rigid, however you want to say it. And the QD2, Wi-Fi and SIM card. QD4, again, is our countertop. And then QD5 is the pin pad, or there's a QD3 pin pad as well. On the, let's go to, yes, the P line. So the P line, I can send y'all this with all the specs and everything. All of these have batteries in them, but the P1 is the one that needs to be plugged in most of the time. It'll hold a pretty good charge though.
Hey,
And then
Larry, Larry,
yes.
this is Mitch Reesberg. While you had the P1 up there,
Uh-huh.
because something that it doesn't say is that this is, you can add more than one mid to this terminal.
Okay, so these are actually what you consider a dual mid. So meaning you can have a cash discount mid and a traditional mid, but they're
Yeah.
not multi-mid. You can't do like a salon
Well,
where you have 5 salon people. That would have to be a Z or a QD line. We can do,
yeah, no, which is what you just said, because when you have somebody that opts out of cash discounting, this became a great solution
of course.
and took me all of about 5 minutes to set it up.
I know, isn't it great? I mean, the setup is so easy, so easy. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And all of these will do that. Any of these can be, you know, set up with the dual mids, so you can have the cash discount and the traditional. And I've got my P5 actually set up. So on the virtual terminal, which I'll show you here in just a second, I can actually take card present transactions from a virtual terminal. So let's say you're working with a car dealership. They can have somebody that is in their office running transactions and sending the transactions to wherever they need it to go, the service department, the parts department, you know, the sales department. It also, since it's cloud-based, I could be in Tempe, Arizona, and wake up a terminal in Fort Worth, Texas, and run a sale card present in Fort Worth, Texas, after I ran it through my virtual terminal in Tempe, Arizona. So it's a really good system. It has everything that you can do to run your business, and it's really, really nice. So, and on the tap on phone, I've already talked a little bit about it, but really it's great because there's no dongle, there's no paper, there's no terminal. Basically their cell phone is what, you know, what they want to use. And I can tell y'all, towing companies really love this because they don't want to send a terminal out with their drivers because it'll either get lost or get broken, something, but they'll take care of their own cell phone. And if they just put the app on there, they can run transactions, they can send payment links, they can do whatever they need to do straight from their phone. All right, so I am going to get into a little bit of the gateway, and what I wanted to do first was just show you the terminal. So let me get it pulled up here on this. Okay. This one should be coming up. Give me one.
Can I ask a question while you're doing that?
Yeah, of course.
So you said that you can run on First Data. Can you do Fleet and Wix too?
No, we aren't on there yet,
Okay.
but that should be coming. All right.
Can I ask you one more question before you
Sure.
jump in?
Yeah.
Do you, with the iPod Pay system specifically for restaurants, do you guys have any integration to like a Craftable or anything like that, or is that something in the works?
Integration to Craftable.
Not that I know of, but don't get me lying. So let me write that down and I'll check for you afterwards.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay. All right. So what y'all are looking at right now is my P3, and I have AnyDesk built into these terminals. So this is good for y'all as well. So if y'all have a merchant that calls you and they go, "Hey, I'm having trouble with my terminal," you can actually log into that terminal from wherever you are, and you don't have to actually go out to that location. So this is going to save y'all a lot of time, a lot of effort. So, oh boy, this is going to give me trouble. All right. I'm going to skip over this for right now. Let me go into the dashboard. I knew that AnyDesk was going to do that to me today. All right. So what I'm going to show y'all now is the actual dashboard that all of your clients, once they sign up for any of the P terminals, they're going to have access to. Now, this is actually the login that Justin would have for y'all to build files and things like that. But I'm going to log in as a merchant and show you what your merchants will have access to. So they're going to have all of their numbers. Everything is going to be on the screen right here. And anything that they see, small navigator, there we go. So anything that they see here, and they can click into this and it'll pull up another page for them to go into. So it's a lot of, I think this would be something that every business owner would like to have. And at the first of every day, come in, look at all their numbers. They can also go in, they can filter by dates, by, date range. They can filter by stores. So if y'all have a 10 location, they can go in here and filter by each store. TPNs are terminal profile numbers. So each terminal that is associated with this account will be in their dropdown. I've got 4 demo terminals that are in here, but you can label these however you want. Let's say if you have, store 1, store 2, or whatever you want to label these as. Doctor's offices really love this system too. Dentist office, chiropractors, all those guys that have, multiple doctors or whatever, they love this system because they can go in and they can run reports and do that by each doctor. You can also see, their month over month. Down at the bottom, all of their total sales, their average batch, their daily sales, their average ticket. If they're doing dual pricing, they can see how much fees were amount was, how much tax was taken, what their tip amount was. So all of that is right there on their front page when they log in. Another nice thing about any of these P terminals is they can be in Spanish or English. You can also change this from Spanish to English for the dashboard. So if they're Spanish speaking and they want this all in Spanish, all they do is click the little Spanish button at the top. It changes everything to Spanish. On the terminals, everything will print out in Spanish. All of the things on the terminal that they're looking at are in Spanish. And it's as easy as switching it back to English or Spanish, 5-second switch over. So I'm not going to switch it because I don't speak Spanish. But on here on the user management side, so the actual user, the store owner, can add as many users as they want. It's as simple as putting in their first, last name, email address, phone number, and then give them a role for whatever role they want. They can also see all of their transactions. So any transaction that is done, they stay in this system forever. So they don't go away after a year, 2 years. They can also view any receipt in here as well. So if they want to view the merchant or a customer copy, they can go in here and view the customer copy. They can print this off to their own printer. They can email it straight to a customer. So let's say a customer comes into a restaurant and they're on a vacation or a business trip. They forget their receipt. They need it for their expenses. They can call that merchant and say, hey, my email is this. Will you email me out? And they can get it sent out right away. Another nice thing about this is they can put digital marketing on the bottom of these receipts, and they can do it either on paper receipts or the e-receipts or both. A lot of people don't want it on the paper receipts because it takes up so much paper, but they do want it on their electronic receipts. So they have that space at the bottom of the receipt to put barcode, put a coupon code, put a link to their website, a link to their Yelp page, whatever they want to do. So that's just some free, advertising that they can add that we give them to use. You can also do voids or refunds straight from here. You can do full or partial. So if I wanted to just do a $5 refund, put in $5, hit enter, it's done. Another really nice thing about this system, if y'all are going after restaurants and you are selling them this system, one of the benefits of this is we can do a additional auth after a batch. So let's say that last night, they ran all their tips, they batched out, one of their servers comes up and goes, I forgot this, usually what they have to do is call the merchant or the customer and say, hey, I didn't run your tip. Do you mind reading out your card over the phone? And of course they don't want to do that. On here, all you do is you go to the blue button, hit additional auth, run it for whatever that tip amount was, and it goes through. So that's something that the restaurant managers love. And another thing about that is they can come in here and just sit at their desk and do the tip adjust at the end of the night on a computer instead of having to sit there on a terminal or a POS system and do it. And it saves them a lot of time. And over, weeks and months of doing this, the time that they save and the ability to do that additional auth, it makes up for it. So it's a good selling point for y'all. So on the cloud POS side of this is where the virtual terminal and our e-invoicing, everything lives in here. There we go. All right. So on a quick pay, basically this is just your virtual terminal. So you've got your virtual terminal. I've already got this set up for QuickBooks. Let me go in here and show y'all something real quick though on QuickBooks. So if y'all have anybody, this is QuickBooks Online only. So, and the way it works is this is going to consolidate into QuickBooks. Now, it won't take anything from QuickBooks, meaning they can't run an invoice from QuickBooks and then it show up in our system, but they can run an invoice from our system and it'll go straight into QuickBooks. And it's as simple as hitting this button, connect. It goes and finds their Intuit login. And if they're logged in, it'll just automatically log in. If not, it'll ask them to put in their password. Once it logs into the Intuit, then they're connected. And all of their transactions, whether they're in a terminal or in the cloud-based system in here, the virtual terminal, they're going to show up in QuickBooks. So it's that simple. Then they can pick their defaults. I usually on here, I just put services and go to my checking account. I do the total with the tip, tax, and everything, and I hit save. Up here, it gives you QuickBooks settings are updated, and you're ready to go. So very simple to do, very easy. And then my services and my checking are already pre-filled. Then all I have to do is put in a customer number. If I have an invoice that's already been made in QuickBooks and I know that, I can put that invoice number in this box and then it'll sync up to QuickBooks that way. If not, it'll auto-generate a invoice number that matches the receipt. Very simple to do. We have also added Paya ACH for doing dual pricing in the virtual terminal. I don't have it up on my screen, but it would be another box right next to the card. And that way it would say card and basically cash price because it's a ACH function there. And you can do that when you're sending links. You can do it on the virtual terminal. So it makes it a compliant, way to do virtual terminal and e-invoicing and that type thing as well. We can do itemized billing, which basically is adding inventory and that type thing. So to add inventory, we go down to the very bottom here and you can add as much inventory in here as you want. Right now, I think around 50 is the basic limit on this, but they're going to expand that to, probably 200 before the end of the quarter. But it's as easy as just adding your product name, code, price, and all of that and hit save. So very simple to do. We're also adding a light inventory on the terminals as well. So you'll be able to have this inventory and they'll show up on the terminals. So if you've got maybe a small shop or maybe even a small food truck or something that only has a few items, they could just use a terminal as a POS and not have to have a full-blown system. So it's very easy to add the inventory. Once they are in the itemized billing part of this, I'm just going to put in my phone number and show you how this works. So it's going to know I'm already been in here, and why didn't I add my name? Showed me. All right, give me 1 second here. All right, and then when I go to the next, it's going to ask me to add my products. So I'm going to add some beer, price. Then I add my quantity. I need 2 of those probably. All right, add, and then, you know, add your potato salad, and then got a quantity 1 for that, add it. Add some brisket. You can tell I'm from Texas. And then once you're there, you can, gotta add one more thing, add some chips. There we go. All right. And now you go to your next. Now you're going to get an invoice, and this is going to send out basically a link to the invoice, and then there's going to be a link to pay. So that, thought I put my card in. Here we go. And proceed. And then that got declined. I must put in the wrong CVV. All right, let me show you one that I did earlier. So here is the invoice. This is what the invoice is going to look like. So it's going to have your invoice number. It's going to have who it's from, who it's going to, and then all of your items. And then it's going to give you a breakdown of the price. And then after that, you're going to get a link to the payment page. So I can show you what a payment page looks like as well. So we have what's called a generic hosted payment page, which all they have to do is copy and paste a link, and then they can post this on their, you know, their website or wherever they want to post this. And this is what it looks like. Here, put it in my browser and show you all this. So this is basically what the generic looks like. And they can have, of course, their logos and all of that on here. And they would put in the amount, put in the card number, and just hit proceed. So it's very simple. We all have the I'm not a robot for security on there. So that's as well. So we have the generic hosted payment page, but we also have in our Developer Central where they can actually do a full hosted payment page. So we give them all the API docs to go in there and build their own hosted payment page. And I can show you an example of what that looks like. I've got one that we did for a dentist office. Let me see here. This is kind of how the build your own works, and they can change colors, they can change fonts, they can change whatever they want. Now, this is a dental office. They have, you know, welcome to our secure page, a description of the payment. Then, of course, they have their payment information here, their contact information, their billing information, the patient information, and then, of course, the I'm not a robot, hit submit. So this is very nice. And this is another added little feature that they might, you know, really like to have. And it really is something that, you know, they can design and make it however they want. So again, a lot of bells and whistles in here that they can, you know, take advantage of. All right, let me go back to this. We also have reoccurring payments. So they can set up as many reoccurring payments as they want. Very simple to do. There is a My Customer section down here. So in their My Customer, like this one, they can go in. I can add a card. If I want to add a card, I can just add that card right there, or I can go back in and I can add reoccurring payments. So I can add a reoccurring payment, add the frequency that I want, have it in by on if I want to do it on a date, or just have it on a successful count. Let's say it's $200 and you want to do $50 until it's paid. You can do that based on successful count. So you can set it up however you want. You can also, if you have their card already on file, let's say they call you for a phone order and they go, just use the card that I have on file that ends in 0358. Okay, I'll do that. And it was for $50 or $45. Perfect. And then you just go down here, hit proceed, and it'll run that card. Why is it declining? My card's getting declined. Maybe I need to enter in my CVV. Let's try it again. Don't decline. Something's going wrong. You knew it was going to happen.
Yep, that's right.
All right. Well, you get the picture. So it's very simple to do, very easy to run. And it's very nice when you have those customers in here and you can just go in, add their information, add reoccurring, edit the customer, delete the customer, whatever you need to do straight from the customer section in here. Let's see. On here, the send payment link, again, very simple. You just put in an email or a mobile phone number. either or both, and hit send. And very simple there. We having some questions or are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we've got to pause. We had a couple
Yeah, let's
questions coming
pause.
from the chat. So first question that came in was when you were showing the dashboard, you talked about, and I think it was maybe the TPNs or something where you can rename.
Yes.
And just a question about how would you go about doing that?
Okay, so it would be something that on Justin's end that they would have to probably is when it's setting up the file, they would have to set up the TPNs
Okay.
in that way. So that would be a internal question with Justin and them, but they can definitely set it up that way.
Okay.
And Marcus is their relationship manager. He can help them with that
Okay.
as well. And
Perfect.
same thing with store names. They can change the store names as well. So it's in the edit parameters.
Okay.
Part of
So
it.
that's on our side.
Yes,
That-
exactly.
Great. Another question, when you were talking about the additional auth, so
Uh-huh.
I think a forgotten tip is the
Yes.
example you gave.
Yes.
If it's a cash discounting account,
Mhm.
is there a way to remove that fee on the additional auth?
To remove the fee on the additional off? That's a good question, and I'm not 100% sure of the answer. So I'll write that one down as well
Okay.
and get that back.
Great.
But I know that, you know, on the terminals, there's actually a button to press when you get to the final, you know, dual pricing. And if they want to remove the fee, it's just a button they press and it gives them a box and says, did you want to remove the fee? And they can do it that way. Same thing with the virtual terminal. There is a box that pops up and says, do you want to remove the fee? But on the additional auth, I'm not sure. And I haven't been asked that question. So
Okay.
it was a good one.
All right. One more that
Yeah.
came in from the chat. It
Sure.
said, can you explain the L2 and L3 autofill option?
Okay, so the way that's going to work is if it's a corporate card or a card that qualifies for level 2 and level 3, it's a setting that has been turned on in the system, and it basically would take the card, and as soon as that card is entered in, it autofills information that goes to the processor. So Dejavoo just autofills, and to be 100% transparent with you, it's just information that is filled in. It's not specific information, and really the processors just need information in there so it qualifies for level 2 and level 3. So it's not when they say autofill, it basically it's an autofill, and so there's really nothing that y'all need to do on your end. It's a setting that is set up, and when the card qualifies, it autofills. So I hope that explains it. It's not specific information to each card. It's basically generic information that goes to the processor, and they're fine with that.
Okay.
So
I think that was all the questions that we had
Okay.
coming through the chat. I'll let anybody that wants
I have
to
a question.
unmute and ask. Go
Hey, I
ahead,
have a
Chris.
Hey, Larry, one thing that comes up, when using the terminal, one thing that we don't talk about is the signing on the screen. I know the functionality is there when the terminal with connected to iPOS pays is acting as a separate individual terminal. But when it's connected as a pin pad, either connected to another P1 or QD or connected to the iCloud pays or Cloud POS page, it does not allow for a signature.
Okay.
I find that backwards because usually you would use a signature for a pin pad than just a standalone terminal that's always facing the merchant.
That would be something that what I would have you do is have Robert, Justin, or yourself send a message to Marcus, tell him to add it to we have a development team, and every Friday we have calls with them and they can add features. So if it's something that we can't fix in the settings, we'll get it added. So yeah, that's great. Just make sure to get that to Marcus and CC me on it as well. And we'll make sure if it's not something we can do already, maybe it's a setting issue, then we'll get it added to it. So
Yeah, it's a
good deal.
It's a
It's
inside
a
building
known,
the file.
it's a known bug.
Well, it's not a bug. It literally states on when you're building the file, because I have my own portal when I'm building the files, it literally states signature is not able to be captured on PinPad or Cloud POS.
Okay.
I feel like
Well,
it's a feature
definitely
that-
send that in and we'll add a ticket to, you know, the developers, and that's something that I'm sure that they can fix.
Okay.
Uh,
And John, with this system, what's really nice about this system too, because I've been using it for a while before I even joined Pay Compass. One thing that we can do is create agent profiles. So each agent could literally get the information and learn how to do the settings on the fly so that it's not bogging down support whenever someone needs to change something from, say, you know, putting a footer in or putting some sort of necessary information. The system is very broad in the sense that if you guys own the account, then you can have agents under you to build out the accounts how they see fit for the customers and make adjustments in the fly.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point.
Mhm.
And that's something we'll certainly look into, and if we end up going down that road, you know, we'll make sure that we kind of share how that works with the group out. Thanks for that. What other questions does the group have?
This is Steve. I have an account that uses Square. I'm trying to move him away, but his biggest issue, he cannot send out invoicing for catering that he does. Would this system be able to do that for him?
For catering.
Later, oh yes, for sure. You can send out invoices straight from the terminal, or you can send them out from the virtual terminal. So yes, definitely.
And that works with any Dejavoo?
No, only on the P terminals.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, great question.
Good question.
We did have one more question come in on the chat. The customer payment pages that you showed, can those work with recurring payments?
Customer payments. I'm not sure of that either.
Okay.
I'll find out.
Okay.
I don't think so, but I don't want to say that without knowing for sure. So let me find out.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions before we? I don't want to. Go ahead.
To follow up on Steve's thought about the Square, one thing that he can do when he sends a payment link is the customer, if he's working on the computer, he can actually have a PDF document of the invoice attached to the sale. So he can go in and add
So
the
where
PDF
what I'm
invoice.
showing on my screen right now is where you can upload an invoice. So you can actually, on these send payment links, you can add a description and you can add a disclaimer and you can upload an invoice straight from there. So that would be perfect for what he's talking about.
That's pretty cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the send payment link as well, if my terminal was working like I want it to, I could show y'all, but there's actually a place where you can add an invoice as well on the terminal when you send a payment link. So you've got options.
All right. I think that's all the questions in the chat. What other questions do we have from the group?
Hey, this is Mike. I had a additional question for you on the level 2 and level 3 autofilling. Is there a way that we're able to see what transactions qualified in a batch for level 2 and level 3? Are they highlighting it or marked in any way, shape, or form, or?
You know, it's so new to me. We just
Yeah.
got it like last week. I am
Yeah.
not 100% sure. I would almost guarantee you we have some way of reporting though in the reporting, but let me double check on all that for you. Like I said,
answer is
we've
yes.
only had it for maybe a week. So
The
All
answer
right,
is yes. I've been using it at one of my locations and I got it deployed with level 2, level 3 on
Yeah.
every single transaction, Mike. Whenever you go into the system, you will see, it'll say level 2, level 3, and it'll have a yes or no.
oh, perfect.
Anytime that it's processed, it will say yes.
Awesome. And I tell you what, if you've had some people processing with it, we'd love to see some data on it, maybe after a month or so, because we really need to know what the savings kind of are from that level 2 and level 3. And we just don't have a lot of data because we haven't been using it. So if you could share that, you know, it would be great. We'd love to see that.
Yeah, I'm dying to get into that and see how that actually works because this
Yeah.
could be breakthrough solution. In
So
terms
guys,
of-
I was also looking at my terminal on when you're sending a payment link, there's a place on here to have a reference number and a description, but there isn't a place to actually add an invoice. But you know, you can definitely add a reference number and a description. Maybe you could put an invoice number, but I was wrong about the terminal sending the invoice. But you can definitely do it from the virtual terminal. You can upload whatever.
All right. Any other questions before I let Larry keep rolling with what he was talking about?
All right.
Perfect. All right.
All right. Another thing on the batches, of course, you know, they can set this up however they want, auto batch, or they can, you know, close batches. One of the nice things on here too, as well, is the batches are very visually appealing. I think, you know, they show all of the information up in the top corner, what you've done, what fees amount, if alternative payment you used, anything like that. All of that's right there. Also, if you have the card information, if you did cash, it'll show cash at the bottom. If you need to settle a batch, it's as simple as just hitting one button, settle, it's done. Very, very simple to use, very easy. On here, on the tickets, so the terminals have a call me back button. Basically, if your merchant has something happen with their terminal and they want y'all to call them, they will put in the call me and whatever the issue is, and immediate notification will come to Pay Compass, and they'll know, call this customer and see what's going on. You know, it can be a battery, they need paper, whatever it is. So they've got that information in there as well. On the Developer Central, the hosted payment page and the freedom to design is all at their access. So they have that information there as well. Reports are down here. Inventory, like I said, they can add inventory, and that's basically everything. There's a split payment function on the P terminals as well. They can split up to 7 ways. It can be equal, unequal. It can be dual pricing on one, cash on another. You know, so that it's very easy function for your restaurants to use. I think that's, you know, pretty much it. We'll open it up for questions, and then whatever else y'all
Mike, can
want
I,
to do.
may I add something that
Of course,
I've experienced?
of course.
When talking about the batches, this
Uh-huh.
system is absolutely amazing in
Love
the
it.
sense that all of the payments, when set up through Cloud POS and not through the terminal, are what called hosted, which basically means none of the transactions are actually held within the terminal. They're held within the
100%.
servers. What that means for us as agents with merchants, especially merchants late at night or in bad areas, once the transaction goes through and it's set up for hosted settlement, that terminal could be shut off, it could be broken, it could be shattered into 1,000 pieces, and they'll still get their money the next day because it's not batching out to the terminal, it's batching out to the backend server that's away from the terminal.
And kind of adding to what you're saying, these are all done in real time. So as soon as I run a transaction on a terminal, it's in the dashboard because it's cloud-based. So they can see all their transactions throughout the day. On other terminals, you know, even our Z's and some of that, they've got to wait until it batches out to see what's gone through. These, they can see it immediately as soon as it's done. So that, good point.
And another feature that I like that I tell a lot of my customers that they really enjoy is the refund. When you go into transactions, if it's a refund, you can go in and just click on that refund button on any live transaction, and it'll literally pop up with a window where you can put in the amount. Once you click that refund button, you don't need the card number because the card number is stored in the server in the back, which gives us the ability to not worry about bogging down support to ask for a card number or having the customer reach out to the having the merchant reach out to the customer to get the card number like it was in the old days.
100%.
It's a
Good
very
point.
nice feature. the void function's a little wonky too, especially with debit, but we're working on that.
Yeah, but it definitely, it is, it's a time saver. And like you said, all the information's already stored and encrypted in here. So, you know, all you see is the last four of the card number and that's it. But you can run partials, you can run full, you can run whatever you need right from there. Great point.
Yeah. Yeah. What other questions do we have from the group?
It's a good group.
Mary, I see one. What size paper is used?
It's 2 1/4 by 54 or 52 or whatever it's the smaller of the ones, I believe.
Steve, I'll send you a text with the Amazon link. You can order like 50 rolls for $20.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll do one last call for any questions before we wrap it up here. And
Well, I appreciate you guys letting me do this today, and great group. And you know, anything y'all need, let me know. I'm there if y'all ever need help, you know, with a merchant, a big merchant or a small merchant, and y'all want, you know, maybe a demo of something, I can do that with y'all. So just let me know how I can help y'all sell more, and we'll work together. So
perfect.
I appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Larry. I'll add as well. We did have a couple of questions come in about pricing, and Larry thankfully didn't include that because we record these and release them, we don't typically talk about pricing on the Toolbox Tuesday, but you can always reach out to the sales support team, and they can help you walk through any of the pricing for any of either the hardware or any of the add-on features that Larry talked about. Again, thanks for taking the time today and being willing to try this in a very different setting than what we were expecting.
It's great. This is an awesome space.
And we'll, again, anyone that needed to leave or anybody that had someone on your team that couldn't attend, we'll send the recording out for this a little bit later today. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining. Thanks for being patient as we figured it out, and hope everyone has a fantastic Tuesday.
All right, awesome.